Whoa, what the fuck is this? Am I right? I've been off from the channel for quite some time, about half a month or maybe even a month at this point. I don't know, maybe like 20 days. And don't worry, my fans, we back in this shit, baby. Don't worry, Alex, I'm still here. And yeah, man, I just had some shit to figure out in my life. There were some things going on backstage, and I got my hair cut. Like a girl, teenage girl going through a breakup or some shit. I went through a breakup as well, but you know what? None of that shit matters anymore, right? I had to hit the pause button on reading the One Piece manga for some time, just after the time skip, and that does not matter anymore, baby. We're back in this shit, back on the grind, and I can't be more excited to make this video, alright? I'm on some meds, but that is not stopping us, baby. So yeah, let's just jump into this bitch. So Fishman Island, jumping into this arc. One of my friends, there's only one friend who I talk to be honest. Not one of my friends, it's just the only friend that I hang out with over here. He told me this arc was going to be boring. But man, after reading the arc, I'm surprised his nose did not just fucking like elongate like Pinocchio or some shit when he said that. Because this arc was just I just really loved it, man. I fuck with Fishman Island so heavy, dude. To be honest, there are some complaints like it has a lot of fat on it, which could have been trimmed off and shit like that. And it was a little bit too long for my liking. The things that you accomplished in Fishman Island, you could have squeezed that bitch. You could have made it into a tighter package, and it would have been better. But even though it was just a bit longer, not even a bit longer, quite longer than what I would have liked, it's still the moments that hit me, they hit me so hard that I just can't really help but love this arc. I really like the Straw Hats in this arc. You get to see some of their growth in this arc. It was quite nice to see that, especially in terms of mainly the changes and the growth were in terms of their combat abilities, which you get to see later on. The action is ass in this, just like it is in any old One Piece arc, to be honest. The cool thing is you get to see Luffy's armament haki and Emperor's haki, Conqueror's haki. In the manga, they call it color of the emperor or some shit. I don't know. But Conqueror's haki and armament haki, which are really cool, to be honest. I especially love the scene where, Luffy is surrounded by 100,000 fishmen, ready to fuck that shit up, ready to rock that shit. And also some humans in there, but 100,000 enemies. And Luffy is just like, oh, you wanna mess with me? Bet. Walks up right in front of them. Whee! Bam! 50,000 dead. Holy! that was a really cool aura farming moment by Luffy, and that was a cool scene. And the entrance of the Straw Hats in that particular the fucking plaza or whatever the fuck it was, that was really cool as well. So there are really cool scenes like that. I mean, to be honest, now that I'm talking about it, I feel like it's only two scenes, the ones I talked about. I guess maybe I forget. We'll get into it later on if I remember. But other than that, man, is just like some just normal One Piece action slop, dude. It's gonna be serviceable at best. You don't get to see much of Zoro. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck Zoro did over here, right? I guess his enemy was just too weak for him to show off any new moves. He just did a tornado, and that was it, I guess. Yeah, I don't even remember how he defeats the fucking octopus guy or some shit. But yeah, so Zoro was just fine. Luffy was cool, as I mentioned. Um, Sanji's airwalk, that was cool, I guess. But other than that, even he does not get to do much. Same with Usopp, yeah, he's got the plants and shit, but I think they had shown it already beforehand. So he wasn't doing anything new. Okay, he can just spawn some shit now, I guess. The man grove, or no, not man grove, the man plants or whatever the fuck it was. They had already shown it before, right? So it wasn't anything new. But I guess that's cool. Nami's powers as well, they're the same powers. It's just, I guess they're just more effective now. Meh, whatever. You get to see those. Since we're talking about Nami, I just remember in terms of the navigation, you get the 3 log posts. That was kind of cool, I guess. But so that's Nami. Nico Robin, you get to see her giant legs. So that's cool. For the gooners out there. But other than that, I mean, even she just seems stronger, just like Nami. It's just like, okay, now I can sprout my legs and make 2 copies of myself. Oh, sorry, and shit like that. So yeah, that's that. So both of them are just The same old version, but it's just better now. Okay, at least for Nico Robin, as I said, man, you get to see her giant legs, so not complaining. Chopper was cool, I guess. He can transform without the rumble ball now. The horn point was was nice, I guess. It was cool, to be honest. And now he can maintain the fucking beast form for 3 minutes, so that was cool as well. So I really fuck with Chopper, and Chopper's my boy, so let's be real. Chopper's gonna be good regardless of what he does. Jimbei was just the good old Jimbei that we know and love. He still hasn't joined the Straw Hats officially, but I'm still counting him as a Straw Hat, just for the sake of it. So Jimbei was just Jimbei. Frankie, I really don't like Frankie, man, to be honest. The more I read the One Piece manga, I just don't really fuck with Frankie. I really like his personality, and the flair that he adds in the group. But when he fights, dude, it's just the same bullshit, dude. He just transforms into some mecha shit. And in this one, he quite literally, the only thing he has is he has a tank for Chopper and shit, which was really boring as fuck. That's Chopper Boy. I want to see him transform into different sort of things and just fight as Chopper Boy. But no, he's gonna be stuffed into a tank for some reason. I don't know. Same with Usopp. Yeah, that was weird as well. Usopp is more confident now, but he wants to hide in a tank for some reason now. I don't know, man. Weird things like these keep happening in One Piece, but yeah, what can you do? So yeah, coming back to Frankie, man, I just don't really fuck with Frankie's inventions and shit like that. It just never excites me because it's never anything unique. We talked about him just having a tank and he had a bike for himself, and then at the end he just fucking had a Gundam suit for him. So yay, let's go. And even that was just boring. He still had his lasers and shit like that. So man, I'm afraid that Frankie's just gonna be delegated to this sort of I don't even know what to call this character trope. Just this goofy, oh, what the fuck, this goofy sort of engineer that just has this like normal ass machines, and that's the thing with him. I don't know, man. So really did not fuck with Frankie in this one. And as I said, man, as I'm reading through the manga, is just ever since Frankie was introduced, it's just been going downhill for me. But to be honest, we haven't seen much of Frankie, right? After Water 7, you don't get to see much of him. He's just teleported to some other place, to Vegapunk's island and some shit like that, right? And then this is the next best thing you're getting out of him, right? So let's hope we get to see more out of Frankie, some cooler things, which are more unique, I guess. Like for example, when they were fighting on top of the train in Water 7, at least there he had some unique things going on. We know he's a cyborg, so it's gonna be all machinery and shit, but he had those different like four legs sprouting out of him and shit like that. So that was cool. And as I said, man, it was something like, oh, we've not seen this, right? But here it was just tanks, bikes, and a big Gundam suit, like Evangelion or some shit, right? So not for me. And the action, as I said, man, the choreography was not there for me. So Frankie was really disappointing. I enjoyed his presence still, because it's Frankie, man. Like, come on, who doesn't like Frankie, right? But yeah, those were the complaints for Frankie. Frankie majorly for me. And same goes for Brook. When they were showing the different things that all of the Straw Hats were doing during the time skip, you could kind of gauge where they were heading with their, adventures and what they were learning and how they were going to develop as a character. And for Brook, I was particularly excited because I was like, that's Brook, man. What the fuck is he gonna do? What's he gonna learn? He's not like a doctor. He's not an engineer. He's not. At least Nico Robin can learn something about the world history and some shit like that. He's not the navigator learning about weather magic and shit like that. He's not none of those straw hats. He's just a fucking musician, and he can learn like sword fighting and shit. So, but Zoro's learning sword fighting. So you can't relegate that to Brook anymore. But otherwise, it's just gonna be two swordsmen. So I was really excited to look forward to what Brook was gonna bring to the table, and it was really underwhelming as well, man, because he can just like detach himself. He can materialize his soul. He is the soul king, so that's the whole shtick. Like, oh, I'm literally the soul king. I don't know. So that was kind of what the fuck. So yeah, he can materialize his soul. I don't even remember what the fuck he uses it for. He does use it for something, but I'm just having a real hard time remembering what the fuck it was. But that's a thing he can do now. and he can hypnotize people with his songs, I guess. So that's that. So yeah, the song thing, it's like he's turned into a Jigglypuff, basically, right? Jigglypuff, and people just sleep. So now he can kind of influence people's minds using his music. That's kind of cool, to be honest. Not that bad, but I just wanted a bit more, from Brook. But it is what it is. So yeah, those are the Straw Hats. The progression that they made, which you were looking forward to, it's kind of the only character that you thought that had grown in the 2 year time skip was Luffy, man, because he was just fucking shit up left and right, dude. And the Hody Jones, dude, he did not even stand a fucking chance against Luffy, dude, even in water, so that's why Luffy, you could feel he had grown in strength, and he was just a real mean motherfucker now. But the rest of the Straw Hats, really meh. But I guess it's a thing that it's gonna unfold slowly and gradually as the story progresses. They Oda doesn't want to reveal everybody's cards just right away. I think, I hope. So yeah, that's that. And the story of Fishman Island, I really like that as well. The whole racism thing. It was really beautifully portrayed. The starting portion, the entire thing where they had to go underground and shit like that, that was just so long for me, dude. Like, can you get to the point, please? They were just doing nonsensical things. They were fighting the fucking goopy guy. I've forgotten his name, dude. The guy who can turn into like a fucking quicksand pit, quicksand, and he can just absorb everything into him. That guy. So that whole thing was really boring. When they were going down and they were just finding new like large creatures and Neptunians, that was really boring. It was something cool, like it's like lore, right? It's needed, so you can build the world around it, and you can kind of get an idea where you're going and what's gonna happen, and just some small more knowledge about the world. But can we pick up the pace on this motherfucker, dude? I'm out here getting bored out of my mind just watching the same shit over and over again. What's gonna happen? Oh yeah, we're going down, I don't know, man, 5,000 feet. Alright, what do we have over here? Strange creatures. Alright. We're gonna go 10,000 feet deep now. What do we have? Strange creatures, but now this time around we have volcanoes and shit. Like, come on, man. All of this could have been done in like 2 chapters, I feel like, at max. And the whole Vanderdecken thing, I don't know, I've forgotten his name, I think. But that was really underwhelming as well, man. The whole entire journey to Fishman Island, really boring and really stretched out. And same goes for when you reach Fishman Island, dude. The starting portion is so stretched out for me. I don't know if I was just in a bad mood while reading it, or some shit like that, but it just felt really long, and it felt like we aren't doing anything, nothing is getting achieved. And I really fucking hated the thing with Sanji where he's watching these mermaids and he's sprouting blood out and he's just getting unconscious, knocked out unconscious. What the fuck is that shit, dude? That's so goofy. That's straight out of Looney Tunes type shit, dude. I'm not. Ugh. That was just really just left a bad taste in my mouth. And I think this was a product of the time, but him, he was on the island of, I've forgotten the island, but the island where he was during the time skip, the 2 years time skip, and he was getting chased around by these, I think, cross dressers or maybe supposedly trans people. I'm not really sure, but he was just like, oh, they're really ugly, they're supposed to be women, but they look like men, and I gotta run away from them. So that was really like, what the fuck is going on? Ooh, that's territory you don't want to talk about, and that's not a message you want to get out there, come on, man. And especially him unlocking his ability to air walk because he wanted to get away from them, fucking transphobic ass Sanji, dude. So I don't know, man, just felt really weird. But I guess, I don't know, I don't want to say nothing much about it, but just a product of its time, I guess. When the fuck was this chapter released, dude? Maybe the early 2000s, so maybe that makes more sense why Oda felt it's appropriate to keep that, and it's funny somehow. But I did not fuck with that at all, dude. That was just really, for modern times, dude, it was just really, man, come on, let's be real. We've progressed way past enough that where you don't need to alienate these people and be afraid of them and Especially, let's not call them just ugly and I gotta climb to the heavens to escape them, that type of shit. So, Sanji is my boy, was my boy, but come on, man, how can I fuck with him when he's just a straight up transphobe, I guess? But I don't know, man. So that left a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't know how I arrived at this point. Yeah. Well, the whole story portion where whenever he saw a mermaid and he's just like, "Ah, what the fuck is happening?" And him just launching into the air like a fucking Team Rocket member, at the end of a Pokemon episode. It's just so played out, dude. It's just, alright, it happened once, it's happening again. It just keeps on happening, dude. And even when he was hiding from not King Neptune, maybe King Neptune or his sons, Mamboshi, Yamabushi, whatever the fuck those guys were. When they were hiding from them behind the rock, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw a mermaid." Now he is just launched up into the air, and that's how they find them. Come on, man. That's just I don't know, man. It's just I don't fuck with that at all, man. It's just really cartoonish, and I don't really like it at all. And those portions were really hard to read through just for that. I really wanted to get to know Fishman Island, how it's different from the rest of the world. What kind of racism do they face, because it had already been established beforehand, that fishmen face racism and shit like that. So I really wanted to get in the weeds of that shit, but we were just wasting so much precious time for just getting to the point. So that was just really bleh. But all is not lost, because from the moment Luffy enters Ryugu Palace and he meets Shirahoshi, shit just pops off, dude, and the bits and pieces that about Vanderdecken and Hody Jones that they had scattered around, even that was kind of boring, because it just felt like they were coming out of nowhere because nothing else was happening. But everything started coming together in a really nice manner. And man, the arc just started picking up its slack. Not even the slack, dude. Its entire nutsack had been hanging wide and loose throughout the entire arc, and it had started reeling its nuts back in. It seemed, I don't know what kind of analogy it was, but what I mean is, from now on is the point where the arc starts getting good, and man, does it get good. I fucking love the way that they show racism over here, and the effects that it has on both of these sides. The people who inflict it on you and the people who are experiencing it. More of the people who experience it, because of course, it's Fishman Island. The main focal point is going to be on the victims of racism, right? And the whole cycle of hatred and shit like that, it was executed so beautifully, man. I love Fisher Tiger and his story, and the final moment where, of course, he frees the slaves. He's real great and all, and they sort of adopt the child, the small little girl, and they kind of form a bond, and they kind of figure out that humans are not that. I mean, Tiger Fisher was an advocate for that, but with the child as well, the rest of the crew, the rest of the fishermen, they kind of understand that, oh, not all humans are bad and shit like that, and then they send her away, but he gets double crossed and shit like that, and then he dies, and he's like, "No, don't give me no blood anymore, because I still can't take any more blood, but I just don't want this hatred to continue and shit like that." So it's not like, Tiger Fisher is this holy savior and he's just all good, and he's just, hey, goody two shoes all the times, he understands everything and shit like that. He has his own problems, and he has his own scars that are yet to be healed because of the damage that has been inflicted on him, both physically and mentally. The whole him not accepting the blood of a human just shows that part, about, I can't do this, but still I don't want the cycle of hate to be propagated anymore, so just don't fuck this up. Him telling the rest of his crew. It was just so beautiful, man. And same goes for Otohime, man. Otohime is probably my favorite character from this entire arc, dude. The way she just clutched on to even the last, not even straw at this point. It was just the last fucking quark of hope that, we gotta end this hatred. We gotta come together as a singular people and work for the betterment of everyone. We gotta rise to the surface, chase the sun. Such a powerful message. And just the conviction she had in her, to just convince her people that, let's just not be blinded by hatred. Fuck everything else, dude. It doesn't matter what the fuck happens to us. We gotta put that behind us. Violence is not the answer. Hatred is not the answer. We gotta love each other. We gotta love the other people. and we can come together and learn each other. The scene that I love the most is her teaching her children about the overworld, or the land world and shit like that, and the whole thing about understanding each other's differences and shit like that. Whoa! So beautiful, man. And man, I just cried so hard when she was killed off by fucking Hody Jones. I just hate that guy, dude. But yeah, Otto Hime, just an S class character, man. And man, how can you not love her, dude? As I said, man, just her conviction and just the pure soul that she was, and her whole message. And to be honest, that's what I think like should be, ideal in the world as well. That I don't want this to be a political discourse on this channel or anything, but fighting of racism and xenophobia and shit like that, it's just laid out perfectly in front of you in this arc. So I just loved the whole idea that they were going for, that Oda was going for, and his execution was flawless. And in the same vein of talking about the mental scars and what actually happens to you when you face this kind of oppression, I fucking love Hody Jones' character as well, dude. I think people just dismiss his character. I haven't seen much discourse, to be honest. I haven't been on the internet for quite some time, but I feel like on at first glance, even I thought while reading, like, oh man, what the fuck, is not a nuanced character at all. uh, Arlong was a more nuanced character after you get to know what his backstory and shit like that. But Hody Jones is just like, he's blind from hatred, and he just want to do just the same thing over and over. Van der Decken I could care less for. That's not even a villain. Fuck that guy. I hate him, and he was probably one of the most boring parts of the arc. But at least he got Noah falling from the sky, so that was a really cool scene. But other than that, we're not going to be talking about Van der Decken. That guy sucks. All right. So yeah, coming back to Hody Jones, I thought he was a one-dimensional character at first. He just has one thing: I gotta kill everyone, and I gotta just enslave the humans. But at a deeper glance, I after reading the arc, I kind of got to understand what he represented as a character. He is, and this is just my game theory. He is supposed to be, I think, the personification of this entire cycle that's been going on since ages, right? Where you oppress the people are kind of scared of you, they also kind of hate you, and then you are also delegated to a bad part of the town that is, not being taken care of, and you just have people around you just spewing hatred, molding your mind into this just sort of just a really poisonous thing, and on top of that, you also get to see just one of your heroes just die. So I think the message of not hating and letting the hatred go, forgiving and bettering yourself for the future of your people and yourself, you know the entire personification of that, I mean the antithesis of that, just not doing anything and just letting hatred consume you, is supposed to be Hody Jones. And I don't think it's a hard thing to figure out. But during my first read, I mean, I've just read once, but during the initial times I was kind of bored. Like, this guy, there is no nuance to his character at all. But after kind of understanding the whole entire message of the story, I was like, oh, you know what, makes complete sense now. He's supposed to sort of personify this feeling or this message. So I really love the character of Hody Jones in this one. And he wasn't really cool or anything like that. He just had the shark slicer shit, and that's that. And I don't know. But yeah, so Hody Jones, I really liked what he represented, and it was just really cool. King Neptune and his sons is just meh. I don't know what else to say for them. Shira Hoshi, she was really cool. You get to see some growth in her character as well, and you get some new big discoveries about Pluton, Uranus, and Poseidon being the three big weapons, and Shira Hoshi is one of them. So I guess you get to learn a bit more about Joy Boy as well. So there's some lore tidbits in this arc as well, which I really like. And other than that, man, oh yeah, of course, Jinbei giving Luffy his blood. That scene is really nice and really sort of symbolic of what we've achieved through this arc as well. So I really like that as well. And to be honest, I was really spoiled on that scene like years and years ago. Somehow I got spoiled for that scene before I got spoiled for Ace's death. I don't know how the fuck that works, but so it did not really hit that hard for me. But even so, it was just a really heartwarming scene. So yeah, so that was really cool as well. And other than that, man, I as I said, the fights were really ass. I just hated the fights, to be honest. And yeah, the entire arc was riddled with really heartwarming scenes, really cool scenes, and some really nice lore tidbits here and there as well. And for me personally, I really liked it for the message. Like, as I said, what Hody Jones represented, what Otohime represented, her whole mission about fighting against discrimination and assimilating with people, and same with Tiger Fisher. So for me, that's the focal point of the arc, and that's what I take away from this, right? So in terms of that, I really loved it. But as I was saying, man, there's a lot of fat in this arc. There was just some random fights going on, when usually in One Piece the crew fights, each member fights one of the opposing crewmates, and then Luffy is fighting the big bad guy. That happens here as well, but it's just everyone's taken care of so easily. I guess that's supposed to show their growth as characters, but it wasn't done in a cool way, dude. The only cool thing I can remember from the Straw Hats fighting is maybe just Chopper just going just beast mode and just slapping shit away, and maybe Sanji and Jinbei just putting the meat, just spanking the fucking monkfish guy, or whatever the fuck it was, the pufferfish guy. That was that. There were no cool fighting moments from the rest of the Straw Hats as well. I also feel like there were a lot of bloated dialogues. Usually I fuck with One Piece's humor, but in this arc, man, it was just really like, had me rolling my eyes and type shit, that I did not really enjoy the humor as well. Some of the main parts of the early humor was just Sanji getting knocked out unconscious because he saw someone beautiful, and then later on him remembering about, oh yeah, I was being chased around by these people, which they don't look normal to me. So yeah, that's that, I guess. So yeah, not for me. Oh yeah, one thing which I mentioned to forgot. I really liked the friendship that Luffy and Shirahoshi developed. It felt really nice and natural to me, and how Luffy was just so kind and nice to her. The more I read One Piece, the more I fuck with Luffy's character. I've heard people saying Luffy is just a boring character, which I completely disagree with. Even if you take in consideration the past arcs, but the more I keep reading, the more I keep liking Luffy just better. So that was the thing. Their friendship, I really fuck with that heavy as well. And Luffy and sort of Jinbei developing their relationship as well, that was really nice as well. But yeah, man, this was it. This was a really short review, but I feel like there wasn't much to unpack in this arc except for the message, which I really liked, and the way in which it was executed. And also, it's been a while since I've recorded a video, so maybe I'm off of my game a bit, so forgive me for that. We're gonna get back into this bitch just from the next video, if this video is not up to the mark. All right, so just give me some slack. All right, and we'll do better in the next one. But till then, yeah, this was it, man. Just as I was saying, really like the message, sort of enjoyed the characters. Some characters I really loved. Sort of bloated arc, not even sort of bloated, really bloated arc, to be honest. There's a lot of fat that needs to be trimmed, and then it is going to be a really nice, concise, and up to the point arc. But as it stands, I'm going to give it a solid 6.5 to 7.5. No, not 6.5, that's going to be a bit harsh. 7 to 7.5, maybe 7.5. Let's keep it at that. Just a solid arc. The high moments are there, the highs are really high, the lows are extremely low. You're already into the depths of the ocean. We're still gonna go lower. We're gonna hit bedrock with this bitch when it gets really boring. But it's still an enjoyable arc. You're not gonna find much to complain about after you finish the arc. All right, maybe during the initial time, that's for sure. You're gonna be complaining about that. But when you're done with it, you're gonna be happy that you sort of read through it. So yeah, that's my analysis for Fishman Island, baby. And yeah, it feels good to be back. And thanks for sticking around. I hope my audience does not leave me. Alex, I'm looking forward to your comment. All right. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. See you.